The people of Israel were exiles in the land of Persia. God punished them for their ongoing sin and disobedience and took away his protection from them. So the Persians came and destroyed the city of Jerusalem and took the Israelites as their slaves. One of these Israelite slaves was a man named Nehemiah. His job was to serve food to the king and to make sure it was safe to eat. Though most of the Israelites lived in Persia, there were a few that survived and were still left in the broken-down Jerusalem. He missed Jerusalem and wanted to go back and help those people. Nehemiah could not stop thinking about and praying for Jerusalem. He was sad all the time. One day, while Nehemiah was before the king said, "Nehemiah, why are you so sad? Are you sick? Is something troubling you?" Nehemiah couldn't hold it in any longer. "O king, live forever. My home country, my father's land, is in ruin." The king was concerned and offered to help Nehemiah. Nehemiah told the king that he wanted to go back to Jerusalem and rebuild it as well as the walls around it. So Nehemiah asked the king for building supplies. He also asked the king to write a letter that he could show to anyone on his journey back to Jerusalem. This letter bore the seal of the king and protected Nehemiah as he traveled back to Jerusalem. It was a long and dangerous journey, but Nehemiah was excited to go back. As they neared Jerusalem, they could see its ruins in the distance. The beautiful city of Jerusalem was all broken down, with no wall around it. Work began immediately. Nehemiah wasted no time and gathered all the men to help rebuild the wall. He assigned each group to their task, rebuilding sections of the walls, brick by brick. It was a big task that was going to take a long time. As Nehemiah and the men rebuilt the wall, many leaders from nearby countries tried to stop them. They threatened to kill the Israelites. Nehemiah prayed to God and did not stop working. Each day, they worked harder and harder, and the wall became stronger and stronger. After months of hard work and danger, the job was complete. There was singing, dancing, feasting, and a huge celebration. God was the one who deserved praise and glory for the finished job.
The book of Nehemiah. Nehemiah finds out through a messenger that his homeland is in ruins. Hundreds of years earlier, the Babylonians destroyed the city of Jerusalem. They tore down the temple and walls that protected the city and dragged the people away into captivity. Years went by with the Babylonians in charge until a powerful king in Persia named Cyrus attacked and defeated the Babylonians. As a result, Cyrus allowed the people of Israel to go back and rebuild their temple. Unfortunately, the Israelites once again turned their back and sinned against God. Meanwhile, King Cyrus dies and a new king is put into power. This new king boldly proclaims that there will never be a wall built around the city of Jerusalem again. It appears the Israelites have missed their window of opportunity. Nehemiah is the cupbearer to this king. Cupbearer meaning prime minister, bodyguard, and second in command. Nehemiah hears of his people's plight and his heart breaks. So he takes a risk and asks the king if he can go back and rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. The hand of God was upon Nehemiah, so the king granted his request. And after 5 months, Nehemiah travels to Jerusalem to rebuild the wall. When he gets there, he surveys the situation for 3 days and then makes a speech to the people of Jerusalem.
The Book of Nehemiah. The words of Nehemiah, son of Hakaliah.
In the month of Kislev, in the 20th year, while I was in the citadel of Susa, Hanani, one of my brothers, came from Judah with some other men, and I questioned them about the Jewish remnant that had survived the exile, and also about Jerusalem. They said to me,
"Those who survived the exile and are back in the province are in great trouble and disgrace. The wall of Jerusalem is broken down and its gates have been burned with fire."
When I heard these things, I sat down and wept. For some days I mourned and fasted and prayed before the God of heaven. Then I said, "Lord, the God of heaven, the great and awesome God, who keeps his covenant of love with those who love him and keep his commandments. Let your ear be attentive and your eyes open to hear the prayer your servant is praying before you day and night for your servants, the people of Israel. I confess the sins we Israelites, including myself and my father's family, have committed against you. We have acted very wickedly toward you. We have not obeyed the commands, decrees, and laws you gave your servant Moses. Remember the instruction you gave your servant Moses, saying, 'If you are unfaithful, I will scatter you among the nations. But if you return to me and obey my commands, then even if your exiled people are at the farthest horizon, I will gather them from there and bring them to the place I have chosen as a dwelling for my name. They are your servants and your people, whom you redeemed by your great strength and your mighty hand. Lord, let your ear be attentive to the prayer of this your servant, and to the prayer of your servants who delight in revering your name. Give your servant success today by granting him favor in the presence of this man." I was cupbearer to the king,